Hey everyone, my name is Tanner Vaughn. I am the digital marketing coordinator at AGTA, and today we are going live with Nikki Swift of Nicole Mera. So, if you just give us a moment, we will get started in just a second when Nikki Swift pops on. Oh, here we go. Here's Nikki Swift. Hello.
Hey, Tanner, how's it going?
Good, good. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. I'm excited. This is my first Instagram Live, so we'll see how this goes.
Well, you got on without a hiccup, it seems. So,
I know it wasn't too difficult. So first of all, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
oh yeah, we're stoked to have you. I mean, you also won 4 awards this past Spectrum Competition.
I
You're just a big
know.
winner.
I know. I couldn't believe it. I remember getting the phone call and I was like, obviously I was excited to hear that I won one. Obviously it's overwhelming, but then I was like, wait, four? What?
Yeah,
So
the plan.
yeah, it was a
Love.
surprise and exciting. So
Yeah, yeah, and so for everyone who's watching, this is Nikki Swift of Nicole Mera. She won 4 awards this past AGTA Spectrum competition, and so let's just see. We have Business Day Wear first place, and then
hmm
Platinum Honors, and then Entry Platinum Innovation, and then we also have Evening Wear Platinum Honors as well. So let's first get into a little bit about your business. You want to share like kind of what you guys are all about first, and then we could get into some of the jewelry after
yeah,
that.
yeah, of course. So Nicole Mera, it's just me. It's a one-woman show. So
All right.
I'm a private jeweler. I work with private clients. I'll do custom design. I make pieces, that I've designed for, my collection that I will sell, but I mostly do custom for my clients. So they'll come to me looking for engagement rings, colored stone, anniversary, Mother's Day, various, requests here and there. And so we'll sit down one-on-one and have a consultation to do a custom piece. Or again, I'll show them some of my finished pieces and then
Right.
they may select from that. So again, it's just me. I don't have a retail front. I'm a little bit different in that sense. So I have a small private office where I'll sit down with my clients and have more of that intimate experience with them versus more of that traditional retail feel. A little bit different.
Well, it sounds like actually a lot of retailers that we've been talking to have those storefronts.
Yeah,
From
yeah.
this past year, it seems like they've actually been kind of drifting more towards that, private, personal
For
experience.
sure, for sure. And so what's kind of nice is since I don't have the overhead and the big retail store, I've still been able to do business with my clients pretty much the same through the whole pandemic. Um,
Nice.
there's been a little bit of a shift. I've noticed that, a lot more clients are wanting to do virtual consultations first. So that's been really great. I've, hopped on Zoom, just like, kind of like what we're doing here,
Yeah.
talking one-on-one to kind of work through the process. And then, as we get further down, sometimes I'll meet with clients, but during the pandemic, it's had its challenges, but for me, it's my business was kind of already set up in a way to handle that change. So it's been pretty good for me so far. I've been really, really thankful for that. And my clients have been really flexible and, so it's been good.
Nice. Well, I'm
Yeah.
glad, not, a pretty good year for you this
Yeah,
past.
for sure. Well, I mean, it started with the Spectrum call. So, I mean,
There you go.
that can't be too bad.
No, no, not at all. So speaking of Spectrum,
Yeah.
I know you've entered quite a bit in the past too, haven't you?
So this is my second year to enter. I entered
Okay,
last year was my first year and I also won. Could not believe it.
that's what I was like.
Last
Oh, Mara, I know that I've seen that name before.
yeah. Yeah, so last year I entered also a Spinel last year because
Mhm.
Spinel's my favorite. So obviously this year I won both pieces with Spinel. Last year was Spinel. I'm seeing a lot of hearts. People love Spinel. I know it's the best.
Oh, trust me, we
Um,
get into the Spinels
yeah.
because
For me,
art.
I mean, the stone, yeah, it's really special. The colors, there's so much range. There's like the sparkle factor that you can get from the gemstones, there's just a lot to love about them. And so for me, whenever I'm designing a piece, I mean, whenever I'm thinking about spectrum, at least, I'm like, ooh, I have to start with a spinel. Like that's where the design kind of starts for me. But so last year, the piece that I won, it was a Tanzanian like reddish pink spinel that won for it was WJA's Gem Diva.
Yep.
And then I also got honorable mention for the classical.
Well, elite book this year you got first place. So let's first
Yes.
first. So that was business day wear. Let me just make sure I've got the right one pulled up.
Okay. Yeah.
Here, I'm just gonna flip my camera around.
Okay.
And then, all right, I got pulled up. All right, so this is the ring. We got two pictures here, just for ease of showing it. One straight on in the bottom left or right, and then at the top left, we've got one a little bit at an angle. So those are both Spinels. This is a platinum ring featuring pink and lavender pear-shaped Spinels, 2.49 total carat weight, accented with diamonds, 1.26 total carat weight, and this won 3 awards.
Yes.
Right. So that was first place, and then we got platinum honors, and then entry platinum innovation, all in business day wear. So you killed it with this ring.
Thank you. Again, overwhelmed by that. I mean, the two stones, I actually purchased those in Tucson at the gem show, at the AGTA fair. And I fell in love with the color. You have, the match pair, but it's kind of like that mismatched look. So I knew that I wanted to create something, a little bit, not funky, but kind of different for me. And for me, this is a little bit, kind of funky because you have two stones that don't match, but they match.
Yep.
And then, the bypass ring for me is such an incredible design. And I really, for me, Nicole Mera has this sort of like, I always have this Art Deco element kind of consistent through a lot of my designs.
Okay.
So I knew I wanted to kind of bring in that, the mixture of baguettes with the pave halo. For me, that's like what gets me going. It gets me excited is seeing that mixture. You have the step cuts of the baguettes, and then, the brilliance of the round brilliance. And then seeing the contrast of the bright white diamonds against the color of the Spinels, it just makes those pop, they really pop.
Oh,
and so, so for me, I really wanted to highlight the color, but also for me, the craftsmanship and the design itself is so important. And so, I can't take all credit. My jewelers, Pompos Jewelry, they're in LA. They really brought this to life. I mean, they're the true artists. I put together a concept and a design, but they really bring it to life for me. And so it's definitely a team effort. These designs that I've created, they're exquisite, but it takes more than just one person. It's sourcing the stones, my dealers, trusting them, and them having great cutting and great quality stones, and then me taking the stones and working with them, and then translating my thoughts and ideas to my jeweler and them bringing it to life. So it's not just although I say I'm a one-woman show, there's so many steps and so many people involved in it. And then, whoever ends up wearing it, they get to be part of that story. And for me, that's Nicole Mera.
I love it. And I totally understand with what you're saying about how many people are involved in just one piece.
Yeah.
Hearing some of the stories of other people as well, it's always, it's that continued partnership between, most of the pieces that enter the Spectrum competition are actually from AGTA members, sourced from AGTA members too.
Yeah.
And it's, it's kind of funny. It's like sometimes when we're talking to them, it's like, oh, and, these are from this member, and these, and then this member helped us out with this part. And then, so it's kind of like just a whole partnership, even though it may be a one-person shop or two-person shop, it's, there's a lot more people involved in the total process. And I love how everyone shares that.
Yeah.
And very humble in that, element of, that their pieces, they couldn't do it without everyone else.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's like how our industry grows, right? Like the more that we're kind of sharing and educating and, being open with each other as much and supporting each other. I think that that's another thing that the jewelry industry does, I think, a good job of. And, most of it is pretty inclusive. And I feel like I was welcomed because in fact, I didn't come with a jewelry background. I started my business without, I don't have a family in the jewelry industry. And so for me, I kind of started at the bottom and worked my way up and had great mentors that I met along the way. And so, the industry really took me in, and I put in the work. I think that that's a big part of why I am where I am is, I've worked really hard. And so, I think the combination of working really hard and networking and meeting, so many great individuals in the trade and then their support, it's really helped elevate me personally and professionally.
Yeah. And, I think part of that is that this trade it's not, managed by one big or a couple big companies. There's so many mom and pop shops. And I think everyone's in that same mindset of, we're all here to help each other out.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Love that.
Well, so let's get into the next piece that also,
Okay.
I've got the camera flipped around. All right. So now we have here, this one, Platinum Honors in Evening Wear. And so this is a platinum ring featuring a 3-carat kite-shaped gray spinel, accented with baguette diamonds of 1.93 total carat weight and round diamonds of 0.16 total carat weight. So you really did hit like not all the colors of spinel, but you definitely worked them, all the colors in you could.
I know. Again, that's the beauty of spinel, right? Like the range of color. You have this sort of like smoky, it does have, I actually have it here, but let's see if it might get a little blurry.
Okay.
But it's kind of like a smoky sort of purple, purple gray. Like it kind of changes depending on the environment that you're in. And I think that that's the beauty of spinel, right? Like you're not just stuck with one color. You have, your deep grays, your pastels, your deep, rich reds, your, the pinks. The range of pinks is just out of this world. And I think for me that as a designer, like that's so fun, the options are endless, the designs are endless. And then for my customers, that come to me, they're like, you know what, I really love reds. Like I really only want red jewelry. And rubies may not be an option for them, then spinel, hits that price point or that look, and they can get such a big look for the price. And so for me, spinel always kind of ticks the box.
Yeah, I think the range, and it's growing. I feel like spinel of all the gemstones are just exploding right now.
Totally.
Which is fantastic because I think it has a lot to offer.
Yeah.
And the one thing I do want to point out here too is you were talking before about the Art Deco that you like to bring in your style. I feel like this just hits it perfectly in that Art Deco-y kind of style.
For sure. Again, I bought this in Tucson from Kimberly Collins. She had this gorgeous kite shape. It's so unique. The stone it stood out to me just because it's color and then the unique cut. And I knew that I wanted to kind of bring in this sort of like powerful, edgy kind of look to it. And I always kind of feel like it's like a Wonder Woman ring. Like I know it's not quite a shield, but it kind of looks like that. And I just feel like it's the woman who wears it is going to be like bold and strong. And I like that. Like, I think that there's a lot of my jewelry that's really soft and feminine, but this one is kind of a mixture, right? You have like the baguettes that are really edgy, but you have, I know you can't really see it in the picture, which we probably can't see it here, but there's kind of like a zigzag in the gallery, and it kind of is a little bit playful. So it's like mixing that sort of like strong, bold woman with this sort of playful side that she has too, which for me is, it's more than what meets the eye with a lot of my pieces.
I love that.
Yeah, thank you.
And then, all right, so coming back, but those pieces were absolutely stellar. And I love how the other elements that you're bringing to each piece as well. Like you talked about with the side there, that was,
thank you.
The jewelry has more than just what meets the eye right away. So
exactly. Yeah, I think that's the fun part of jewelry is being able to, design and have little like unique elements to make it like Nicole Mera or make it my client, if they have their, whatever it is that is unique for them or their story. I want to include that in the piece that they make.
Yeah. So you were talking about how this is the second year, right, that you entered the
Yeah.
competition. So what made you kind of start entering to begin with?
Oh my gosh, that's great. That's a great question.
In 1 year, you're more inclined to enter.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so actually, it's so true. So my first year, I was very nervous about entering because it wasn't my first year of business. I've been in business for like, as Nicole Mera for like 4.5-ish years.
Okay, but still,
But yeah, still new. But I had been designing, but I hadn't made like really a big exquisite, like one of a kind piece yet. And
Mhm.
so that the spinel ring from last year was my first one, and I was nervous about submitting, but a lot of people encouraged me. My jeweler, Pompos Jewelry, but also Navit from Omi Gems. I mean, he has won a zillion awards,
As
and
plain-
he encouraged me. He was like, "Do it! Like you need to do it." And whenever you're starting out, like you're it's hard to put yourself out there. And again, you're putting yourself out there in front of some of the most recognizable names in the industry, and that's scary. And so obviously I'm so thankful that I entered, and again entered this year. It's so rewarding. I think that just the conversations that I get to have now with individuals in the industry, they're like, "Oh, I recognize your name. Oh yeah, Spectrum." Or even going to my clients, they love to hear that story. They love to know, like one of my clients this year, I was finishing my designs, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, when are you going to enter?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm going to, but I'm working on my designs. Like I'm not sure yet." And she's like, "Oh my gosh, keep me posted." And
oh
she
yeah.
told me that like the day they announced, she was like refreshing her website, like trying to find out because she was so excited. And so for me, like that's so cool. Like someone who, I mean, she knows me, but it's not her business, but
No.
she's really connected to Nicole Mera. And so it was very special to have, my friends, my family, my clients support me and see that and hear the story and be part of that.
Yeah, I mean that's that's really cool, and
Yeah.
just everyone kind of staying connected, and it sounds like it's paid off quite a bit too, a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously the bragging rights is cool, right? We all love that. I mean, but I think for me, like I am new in the industry and I don't have that family history. And so it really is important for me to be able to, you know, become part of this industry and really like make a name for myself and
Yeah,
really establish relationships that are long lasting. And again, these competitions I think do that. It's a starting point, and I think that it really helps build those connections. And I'm really thankful for that, thankful that you guys have the competition. So
yeah, no, and we couldn't do it with all of your guys' support either. So thank you for entering, and
yeah.
last year. And good segue right now, though. Is there anything you'd like to share with our audience? I mean, you're new in the industry. You're growing. It sounds like doing a fantastic job. Is there anything that you'd like to share with maybe some aspiring designers, or maybe something you've learned over the past year?
Yeah, I mean, sure. I can kind of touch on a couple of things. I think for me, obviously putting in the work. I think I might have mentioned that earlier, but it's hard work. Like it's not easy. And I think if you're really driven and passionate, I think that that's something that, you can be successful. And I think that building relationships in this industry is the most important thing. I think for me, it was when I was starting out, I got connected to a friend, and I went to WJ events. I
Hmm.
went to Tucson even before I had a business. I was just attending to kind of explore. I went to JCK, and I started going to all these events just to network and just meet people. And again, as you know, our industry is all about relationships. And so for
Oh,
me, it was really, relying on those and building those and helping others along the way also. And I think that, with that combination and, the hard work, I think that anyone can be successful if you, put your mind to it. But, and then the other thing is just mentors. Like I have so many wonderful mentors in the jewelry industry, some outside, but a lot in the industry that I look up to. And I think that having those as resources and to inspire you, to educate you, to talk things through, I mean, that's to me invaluable. So if you're, you know, someone who's starting out, it is about relationships and using your resources, I think too, like the resource, like Spectrum. I mean, again, I think, you know, going to the shows, going, you know, entering when you can and taking part in as many things as you can to expose yourself to different experiences, people, environments. I mean, all of that can help your business. I mean, big time.
Yeah, no doubt. So, thank you for sharing that. And I'm
Yeah.
sure it's very valuable to a lot of people who are watching right now.
Oh, good. Good, good, good. I hope so. I hope so.
Yeah. And, Nikki, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much.
This is Nikki Swift of Nicole Mera, winner of 4 Spectrum Awards this past year across 2 pieces of jewelry. And we can't wait to see what you have in store for us next year. Thank you again so much for supporting the competition, and yeah, we're excited for what Spinel you have in store.
For the next time. For sure, Tanner, thank you so much. And thank you to AGTA for hosting the competition and having me on today. So thank you.
Thank you, and thank you to everyone who tuned in today. We will be on again next week.
Awesome.
All right, bye.
Bye.